Someone's watching you right now. Not with their eyes, with their behavior. They're throwing small tests your way, seeing how you respond, measuring your limits, studying your reactions. And most people fail these tests without even knowing they're being tested. You get the passive-aggressive comment, the subtle disrespect, the boundary violation disguised as a joke. And what do most people do? They react, they explain, they defend, they try to prove themselves, and in that exact moment, they lose. Because here's what nobody tells you. The test isn't about what they said or did. The test is about whether you'll react. Let me show you what's really happening. When someone tests you, they're not looking for truth. They're looking for control. They want to see if they can pull a reaction from you. Anger, defensiveness, guilt, explanation. Any emotional response confirms what they're really measuring. Can I affect this person? Think about the last time someone said something that felt slightly off. Maybe it was a coworker who took credit for your idea in a meeting. Maybe it was a friend who made a cutting remark and then smiled. Maybe it was someone close who crossed a line and waited to see what you'd do. Most people rush to respond. They correct the record, they confront the behavior, they try to set things straight. And that's exactly the trap. Here's the truth. Reaction is weakness disguised as strength. When you react, you're letting them know they got to you. You're showing them the button they can press whenever they want. You're giving them the map to your emotional triggers. And once they have that map, they'll use it again and again. But there's another way. A way that doesn't require confrontation, doesn't require explanation, and doesn't give them what they're looking for. Calculated non-reaction. Let me break this down. When someone tests you and you don't react, something fascinating happens in their mind. They experience cognitive dissonance. They expected a response, anger, justification, emotion, and they got nothing. That absence creates confusion, and confusion leads to respect. Not the kind of respect that comes from being loud or aggressive, the kind that comes from being unreadable, the kind that makes people think twice before testing you again because they can't predict what you'll do. Silence after a test isn't passive, it's active restraint. It's you choosing not to play the game they designed for you. It's you deciding that their attempt to control you isn't worth your energy. Most people think silence means you didn't notice. That's not true. You noticed, you processed, you simply chose not to give them the satisfaction of a reaction. Here's what they won't admit. People who test others are deeply insecure. They need to provoke reactions to feel powerful. They need to see you flinch to feel in control. When you don't give them that, you strip away their power without saying a word. So what do you do instead of reacting? First, pause. The moment you feel that urge to respond, to defend, to explain, stop. Count 3 seconds in your head. This tiny delay gives your brain time to shift from emotional reaction to strategic thinking. In those 3 seconds, ask yourself, what are they actually testing? Usually, it's one of 3 things: your boundaries, your emotional control, or your need for approval. Once you know what they're testing, you can choose your response. And sometimes the most powerful response is none at all. Second, observe without emotion. Look at their behavior like you're watching a documentary. Notice the pattern, notice the timing, notice who else is around when they do it. This information becomes valuable later. Not for confrontation, for understanding. When you observe instead of react, you see the game clearly. You see that they do this to everyone. You see that it's not personal, it's their pattern. And once you see the pattern, it loses power over you. Third, respond with neutrality. If you must say something, make it calm and brief. No emotion, no explanation, no defense, just simple acknowledgement that doesn't give them leverage. They make a cutting comment, a slight smile in silence. They try to provoke an argument, a simple, interesting perspective, and move on. They cross a boundary, a quiet no, with zero justification. This neutrality drives manipulative people insane because they can't feed off your energy. They can't twist your words. They can't escalate your emotion. You've given them nothing to work with. But here's the part most people miss. When you respond this way consistently, you send an invisible message that goes deeper than any confrontation could. The message is this: you don't have access to my emotional state. You don't control my reactions. You exist in my awareness, but not in my nervous system. That message gets received loud and clear, even though you never speak it. They feel it, and something shifts. People start treating you differently. The tests become less frequent. The provocations lose their edge. Not because you fought back, because you didn't need to. Most people never see this, but manipulators are cowards at their core. They only test people they think will break. When you demonstrate that you won't break, that you won't even bend, they move on to easier targets. This isn't about being cold. This isn't about suppressing your feelings. It's about refusing to let someone else's dysfunction dictate your peace. Let me tell you something that might be hard to hear. If someone in your life constantly tests you, that relationship has already shown you what it is. The tests are the relationship. The provocations are the connection. That's all they're offering. Real relationships don't require you to constantly prove yourself. Real respect doesn't need to be earned through emotional combat. Real connection doesn't involve strategic manipulation. So when someone tests you, they're actually giving you valuable information. They're showing you that they see you as someone who can be controlled, pushed, or provoked. That's not friendship. That's not love. That's strategy. And the question isn't, how do I make them stop? The question is, why am I still playing? Here's what changes when you stop reacting. You stop being interesting to manipulators. You stop being a source of entertainment for bored people. You stop being an emotional outlet for people who can't regulate themselves. You become boring to the wrong people and magnetic to the right ones. Because people who operate from genuine strength recognize strength when they see it. They see your calm, they see your restraint, they see that you don't need to prove anything, and that attracts respect without you asking for it. The people who stay in your life after you stop reacting are the people worth keeping. Everyone else was just passing time with your emotional energy. Let's get practical. Next time someone tests you, and there will be a next time, here's exactly what to do. Feel the urge to react. Acknowledge it internally. Then let it pass like a wave. Don't suppress it, don't fight it, just observe it and let it move through you without expression. Maintain eye contact if you're face to face. Don't look away, don't look down. Just hold their gaze calmly, without aggression. This simple act communicates strength without words. If they push harder, testing whether you noticed, still don't react. A manipulator will often escalate when their first test fails. They'll make the comment sharper, the violation clearer. This is your second test. Pass it the same way. Calm observation, no reaction. Then watch what happens. Most of the time, they'll back down. Not dramatically, just quietly. They'll change the subject. They'll shift their energy. They'll move on. And in that moment, you've won without fighting. Let me show you what you lose when you react. You lose time, explaining, defending, processing the emotional aftermath. You lose energy, carrying the interaction with you long after it's over. You lose power, demonstrating that they can affect your state. But most importantly, you lose respect. Not theirs, yours. Every time you react to a test, part of you knows you gave them what they wanted, and that knowledge chips away at your self-respect. Strategic non-reaction preserves all of this. Your time stays yours, your energy stays yours, your power stays yours, and your self-respect grows because you demonstrated control when it mattered. Here's what they won't tell you in therapy or self-help books. Some people don't deserve your reaction. Some people don't deserve your explanation. Some people don't even deserve your acknowledgement. Not because you're cold or heartless, because your peace is more valuable than their need for control. The world is full of people testing boundaries, measuring reactions, looking for emotional supply. They're not evil. They're just operating from their own damage, their own insecurity, their own need to feel powerful. But you don't have to participate. You don't have to be their source. You don't have to prove you're strong by fighting. You can prove it by not needing to. The most dangerous people aren't the ones who react violently. They're the ones who don't react at all. Because unreactivity signals something deeper than control. It signals genuine indifference to manipulation. And there's nothing a manipulator fears more than someone who genuinely doesn't care about their games. So the next time someone tests you, remember this. They're not testing your strength. They're revealing their weakness. They need to provoke you to feel powerful. They need your reaction to feel alive. Don't give it to them. Stand there in your quiet power. Watch their test land in empty space. Let them wonder why it didn't work. Let them sit with the discomfort of your non-reaction. And then walk away, knowing something they'll never understand. The person who doesn't need to react has already won. The test was never about you. It was always about them. And you passed without even playing. Now the question is, will you remember this the next time it happens? Or will you go back to giving away your power to people who were never worth it? The choice has always been yours.